So an MP has resigned after being caught looking at pornography in the House of Commons. Nicola Sturgeon, of course, has said, quite right, what an outrage, this male MP looking at pornography on his phone. Now, if the media were doing their job properly, they would be taking Nicola Sturgeon to task, and they'd be saying, hang on a minute, are you not being a complete hypocrite over this issue? Of course, it won't happen, because the media, but basically, they're hopeless in lots of ways in Scotland. They don't really challenge Nicola Sturgeon. They could say to her, okay, so we should resign for looking at pornography, but meanwhile, this is what your government wants teaching to 12 to 15-year-olds.
Sometimes when you are on the internet, you might accidentally or intentionally end up on a website that features pornography, sometimes called porn. Being curious about sex and looking at pictures or films of naked bodies or people engaging in sexual behaviors is perfectly normal.
You see, watching porn is just perfectly normal. Why should he have to resign for doing something perfectly normal? Also, from 12 to 15-year-old lesson plan, 10 things to remember about pornography. It's okay to have sexual feelings, to enjoy your body when you masturbate. With pornography. This is on a worksheet about pornography. So, school children are taught pornography is fine. Then Nicola Sturgeon says an MP should resign for looking at pornography. So how would Nicola Sturgeon reply if she was put on the spot about this issue, which will never happen? I mean, if I got in the same room as her in a TV studio or in some sort of interview, she'd be in big trouble, wouldn't she? But she's fine. She's protected by this layer of media acolytes or whatever. So it's just not going to happen. But if she did need to answer, what might she say? Well, someone might offer an argument something like this. Think about, say, urinating in the House of Commons. Okay, what's wrong with that? Well, it makes a mess. You sort of expose yourself. It symbolises disrespect. But say with that, sort of expose yourself, etc. No, this bloke was just looking at his phone. Symbolises disrespect? Not really. He was just looking at it on his phone surreptitiously. It wasn't like saying to everyone, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. The other thing with urinating, there is a right place to do it in the House of Commons, but we're doing it in the wrong place. Right, okay. Someone might make an argument, something like, well, what about an MP having sex in the Parliament building? That's okay to do in some contexts, but it's really bad to do it in the Parliament. And I would say, if some MP, had sex with his wife in a cupboard in the Parliament building or something, I'd say, well, that's maybe doing the right thing in the wrong place. That's very unwise, very poor judgment. Lots of reasons why that's not a good idea. Maybe not resigning offence. If an MP was having sex with his secretary, committing adultery, well, I don't really care where it is. I don't care if it's in the cupboard of his office or if it's in some hotel on the other side of the country. I think that should be a resigning offence because he's shown himself to be untrustworthy and to lack integrity. They're really crucial qualities for political representatives. So coming back to pornography, this MP was watching it surreptitiously. Would it have been okay in his own office in the Parliament? Would it have been okay at home? If he was a porn enthusiast, would that be fine? Well, Murdo Fraser, the Conservative MSP, he seemed to be saying, well, yes, if it was outside the Parliament, obviously, that's not a problem. It's because it was inside the Parliament. That's why we think it's a real issue. But I don't think that's what people are really thinking. Everybody knows that pornography is wrong. Everyone knows that. Our intuition tells us, our conscience tells us that that's wrong. Nicola Sturgeon knows that. Murdo Fraser knows that. Everyone else knows that as well. Now, sex education in Scotland is designed to actively fight against our conscience, to fight against our moral intuitions, things that we just know are wrong. The sex education sets out to overwhelm that feeling and say, don't feel guilty about it, it's actually fine. Now, throughout history, almost all societies have had a moral code designed to restrain and direct male sexuality to positive ends. It often included a culture of the institution of marriage. Now, in Western culture, there's been a very strong movement that set out deliberately to destroy this moral code. And then what have they got to replace it with? Well, look at Nicola Sturgeon. What they've got to replace it with is feminism. Because she just believes, men are the problem, so we need more women in Parliament. So myself, you could describe me as a sort of anti-porn campaigner in some ways. So would you want me in the Parliament? No, because I'm a man. Men are the problem. We want less men. We want less people like me. We need more women. What about if that woman's, say, a porn actress who spends her time promoting pornography and its alleged benefits. Well, that would be good, because she's a woman. So more women, less men. That's the way to solve the problem, according to Nicola Sturgeon. Because she wants to treat groups as homogeneous entities. Like you can blame all men, you can say all women are victims. You don't look at individuals, personal responsibility, individual values. You forget all that. It's the groups that matter. The whole philosophy is just wrong. But Nicola Sturgeon, as I've said many times, is a female supremacist. She believes that men are the root of almost all evil in the world. I mean, what a tangle of confusion we've got here. Who can sort it out? Well, that's what the Scottish Family Party is for.